Good morning, colleagues. I want to extend a very warm welcome to you this morning as you join us for the first of our Early Learning and Childcare Scottish Learning Festival sessions. If you excuse me 1 second, I'm just going to bring up a slide with our protocols for this morning. Apologies. So you will have seen the slide that was up as we joined the session this morning. So I just want to run through it all before we begin. So first of all, the important thing is to understand that sessions are being recorded here. So by staying with us this morning, you're giving your consent to join in with the recorded session that will be available after today's session. We would ask you, however, not to take screenshots of today's presentations or to do any personal recordings of the sessions, as they will all be available on the platform following the session. We're going to ask you to keep your microphones off today, and that helps with any background noise. But you can use the chat pane to make any comments or to ask any questions, although I'm aware that we've got two very full presentations this morning. But if we don't manage to answer all of the questions, we can follow up with these after the festival. We have a closed caption feature that's available for you if you'd like to use it. And you can also use the chat pane to communicate any technical issues. We've got Laura here from Speakeasy who'll be able to help you. But if you do lose connection, please don't panic. All you need to do is just log out and log back in using the link you used to join us in the first place. If you'd like to tweet about your experience today, please use the hashtag SLF22. We'd love to see you on social media talking about how you found the festival over the next 2 days. And as part of the Scottish Learning Festival, we're always keen to present a wide range of opinions and thoughts about things. And it's important to note that any presenters are sharing their own views rather than the views of Education Scotland. So without further ado, and certainly you don't want to listen to much more of me taking up our precious time this morning, I'm delighted to welcome colleagues from Glenburn Early Learning and Childcare Centre in Renfrewshire. I know that we have joining us this morning Brenda, Fiona and Caroline. And one more colleague who I think you'll introduce yourselves. Apologies for that. But I'll pass over to them now and they'll take you through their presentation.
Great, thanks, Shan. Welcome to Glenburn Early Learning and Childcare's presentation and how nurturing approaches support health and wellbeing. My name's Fiona Miles and I'm Deputy at Glenburn Early Learning and Childcare, and with me today I've got Caroline McCall, our Senior, and Gillian Shearer, our Home Link. Okay. Glenburn Early Learning and Childcare is situated in a diverse demographic area with around 20% of our children and families in SIMD 4 and under. 18.5% of our children in the over threes have an additional support need, with 55% of those having had a confirmed diagnosis. Having worked in Glenburn for many years alongside Caroline and Gillian, we, along with Brenda, our head of centre, and our staff team, observed that we were witnessing recurring behaviours and issues in children and parents over the years. More and more parents with mental health issues disengaged from their children's learning, more and more children with increased behavioural issues and struggling with their emotions. Raising the poverty-related attainment gap, we knew we needed to gain a better and deeper understanding of these behaviours and the negative life cycles and how to support children and families changing these cycles and improving the outcomes. Nurture has always been at the heart of everything we do at Glenburn, and this is embedded in the vision, values and aims of the nursery. So we had a look to see, what our approaches could be in changing the life cycles for children and creating better outcomes for them. And in 2017, we began our journey as part of Renfrewshire's Nurturing Relationships approach and began to research adverse childhood experiences. We were lucky enough to secure the licence for the ACE awareness film and shared this with parents and other service users to ensure the journey was being shared. Oh, I've lost my...
Somebody else was doing it.
Oh, hang on. Lost my PowerPoint. 2 seconds. As a management team, we decided to take so we had a look. As a management team, we decided to take a 360 approach in the delivery of our nurturing approaches, and this involved working and supporting not only children, but also staff, parents and carers. The philosophy was, if staff and parents feel cared for, valued and nurtured, they would be better equipped for supporting our children. So what did we do? Staff were trained in ACE awareness. They had training on Renfrewshire's nurturing relationship approaches. 3 of our staff are wellbeing champions through SAMH. 2 staff are trained in Seasons for Growth. Head of Centre is a CEOP ambassador, and staff are trained through Place to Be, SAMH, suicide and self-harm awareness. And what did this mean? This meant that staff were equipped to support parents, each other, and other service users. Okay. So what did we do with staff? We have an open door policy. Staff can come in and talk at any time with the senior management team. They've got great support from their peers. Senior management team provide lots of nice things for staff just to make them feel nurtured. We believe that, you know, children need to be nurtured and well fed before they can learn, but also that staff need to be nurtured and you know, feel good about themselves. We don't know staff circumstances, so in the morning staff can come in and we provide breakfast cereal for staff. We give staff boxes, wellbeing boxes at the end of term, where we provide a wee quote, a new mug, and a poem just to say, you know, thanks for all the hard work that they've been doing. And we provide quotes for them on a daily basis. We had a Build Me Up Buttercup wall, which was just lots of wee pockets on the wall. Every staff had a wee pocket, and each member of staff could write something nice about another member of staff and pop it in the pocket anonymously. During every in-service training, we set aside an hour for nurturing staff, and we have meditation sessions, we have afternoon tea, there's lots of peer support and time to talk, and a huge emphasis on mental health. Okay, I'm going to pass you over now to Caroline and Gillian, and they are going to talk about what we do for our parents.
Hi there, I'm Caroline McCall. I'm Senior Early Learning Childcare Officer at Glenburn. I've worked in Glenburn Early Learning Childcare for 34 years, and in the past 4 years I have been senior. I've also, for the 30 years, I've been on the floor. So after children have been allocated a place at the nursery at Glenburn, we do home visits. And this is a privilege for myself, as I get to see the families in their own home, in their own surroundings, where I can start to build up positive relationships with the families. We pride ourselves in lots of parental engagement. And as Fiona said, we've got an open door policy, and that's for parents as well as staff. So we have various groups on. in Glenburn. So we have a triple tea, which is tea, toast and talk, and that happens on a Tuesday morning. Times can change, and it might be a triple C, coffee, cake and chat, but at the moment we're doing it in the morning. And it has been a huge success. It has been a huge success in the past, and we're carrying this forward. So we get, what happens is Gillian, the home link worker, and myself get to speak to the parents. We sit and we have a chat. We get to talk about everything and anything really. But it also helps inform parents of like services that they might be available to them, such as Sleep Scotland or benefits or funding. So we do that with the parents in the triple T. The parents are given a small wellbeing bag after the home visit when their child comes into nursery, and it contains a tea bag, sachet of coffee, a chocolate biscuit and hankies, and just a wee quote saying to them, thank you, thanks for letting us look after your child, and just to let them know that they're in safe hands. We also for groups, walking groups, which has been a success. The parents get to meet one another, they go out and build up relationships, they meet new parents, and so this builds their confidence. We also have a cookery group, and this has been an absolute huge success over the years, and it's been running for many years. And a lot of our parents, all of our parents have learned how to cook from scratch and on a budget. And some of our parents and grandparents took part in Jamie Oliver's Cook School, where they were certificated after the course. We're also part of Fair Share, Tesco Fair Share, where a member of staff collects food, different items. It might not just be food, it can be flowers, it can be tins, whatever. But the member of staff brings this back every week, and it is left out for the parents, and the parents are invited to help themselves, which they do, and especially the times we're in just now, we see it getting used more and more. We have an arbour in our welcome area. Brenda was very much for our arbour, and it's beautiful. So it's in our welcome area, so you come in the front hall, and it's a lovely place to sit. The parents can sit there while they're waiting for their child if they're not going up to the room to collect their child. The children love to come in and sit down. Sometimes they come with their wee friends or their siblings, and they sit up, they sit with their parents, and staff use it as well, even just to sit for 5 minutes to gather their thoughts. So around the nursery we have QR codes too, and this is to signpost parents for different support platforms if needed. It can be used for staff as well. So also we give all parents a keyring, and it's got our nursery logo on it, and it's got Glenburn's vision, values and aims. We also use poems and quotes around the nursery, and this is for all staff and parents, and pictorial ones for children.
Okay,
so I'll pass you on, sorry, I'll pass you on to Gillian to let you know how Gillian is involved in the life of the nursery.
Morning, I'm Gillian, and I am an early learning childcare officer. I have been for 36 years. The last 3 years I have been lucky enough to be on a secondment as a home link assistant. My principal role is to assist in implementing the GIRFEC approach in 4 early learning centres by contributing to support families of early learners and to engage parents in supporting their children's learning. I also have the advantage that I worked in Glenburn for 14 years, so I have an amazing relationship with all staff and children there. Initially, I will receive a referral from the senior management team. I will then contact the carer parent to arrange a home visit. Once you go to the home visit, often it's evident that the referral's not always top priority, and that's why personally I see it as a great privilege when parents agree for me to visit and open their doors and let me into their homes. And personally, I also feel that I have learned so much about families, children and their needs since they've opened their doors to me. Building a positive relationship with the parents and carers is top priority, as is their health and wellbeing, before they can implement or engage in any new initiatives or parenting strategies. Home link, personally, I really enjoy because every day is so different. One day I could just be, hopefully, that friendly face and a quick chat with a parent. Other days I'm co-facilitating groups such as the Triple T with Caroline, Seasons for Growth with Caroline, MVR, Incredible Years. I am also trained as a Sleep Scotland counsellor, and sleep is a huge issue for many of the parents within Glenburn. So I would carry out a full assessment and either myself or with colleagues devise a sleep programme for the families. I'm also trained in VIG recently and have used that within the home with some families. Sometimes taking parents, carers and their children to appointments is crucial, and if they can't get there, I'm there to take them. And then it could be simple play at home, providing early literacy programmes, book bug within the establishment and at home. In the current cost of living crisis, I have been supporting and helping lots of parents and carers with the food bank. We also have an amazing service, Clothed in Love, within Renfrewshire, where Alison, who runs it, washes, dries, irons and colour coordinates clothes for nursery children, and I can deliver them. I also help parents fill in forms and try and get them as much funding as possible to support them. I also work very closely with other professionals, attending multi-agency meetings. I see it that our aim is for the same goal in getting it right for every child. Thank you for listening to me.
Thanks, Gillian. So what does that mean for our service? And supporting staff with mental wellbeing, sorry, just 2 seconds. And supporting staff's mental wellbeing, especially during and after the pandemic, we wanted to break down the stigma, shame and taboos around mental health. At Glenburn, staff talk openly about their mental health and are able to look for support in their staff team and senior leadership. The impact of this can be measured in staff absences, and most of the time staff are off, and the ethos and support that they receive whilst they're off and when they return. The evidence is not huge at this point, but we are definitely seeing a shift, and this has given staff the tools and confidence to support parents, being able to signpost them to the right services. At Glenburn, we understand the culture and ethos and the environment influences the health and wellbeing of our children. So what did we do for them? All children are welcomed into the nursery by a familiar adult. Children have their picture and name hung in the wellbeing tree in the front hall. All children are offered a nourishing breakfast and are supported to talk about their feelings, emotions, both verbally and non-verbally, using a variety of resources which are available both indoors and outdoors. Staff use universal language which supports continuity and understanding of what's expected. The outdoor area has been further developed and to incorporate more opportunities for children to practice in risky play, developing confidence, resilience and a sense of wellbeing. An audit of the environment highlighted there were no quiet areas for the children to have downtime. So staff created lovely wee nooks for the library and sensory areas. An arbour at the front hall, as Caroline and Gillian have already talked about, supports transition into the nursery, and the emotions hand often gives staff an insight into how the children are feeling that morning and enables them to prepare for the support they may require. Children receive regular wellbeing bags with bubbles, stickers, quizzes, which everyone loves a present. and this validates how special they are within the nursery. The impact on children's learning and wellbeing is visible, the confidence, self-esteem and reactions with each other. And here's what our children say. I'm just going to play a wee video of the nursery just to let you see all the different things that we do, and then you can see what the children say. Okay.
Now, Fiona, that's not playing for us. Is it playing for you?
It's playing for me, yeah.
Right, and I have it open. I'll share it from my screen and then we can go back to your presentation afterwards.
Great, thank you. Oh, is the music not playing?
I can't hear that.
The music doesn't appear to be playing.
Sorry, I thought I had flicked the switch. Here we go.
Sorry.
There we go. If you want to bring your slides back up, Fiona, just to let you know, we've just got about 1 minute left.
Thanks, Shan. Okay, so you can see by the video how much confidence our children have, and this is what they say. So they're able to talk about their feelings anywhere in the nursery. It impacts their wellbeing, impacts on their learning. If we get the nurture and you know that right, then the learning will naturally take place. And just a wee quote at the end. Thank you for taking part in our seminar, and we've loved sharing a snapshot of our journey with you. We hope you've managed to take away some ideas. And we'll put together a wee slide at the end with the QR code and other links just for your information. Thank you.
Thank
Colleagues, thank you so much for that. What a wonderful way for us to kick off the Festival for Early Learning and Childcare. I'm going to move right on because we're really pushed for time this morning, and I want to introduce Pauline Scott, who is the co-owner and managing director of Lullaby Lane Nurseries and the Tigers Training Group. Pauline, I know you've been doing some fantastic work in your settings and with your staff around attachment-led practice, so I'm going to hand straight over to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Shan. Thank you for that. Can you see my presentation okay?
So yes, we can. Thank you.
Thank you. That's helpful. Okay, first of all, thank you very much to Fiona and the team there for sharing their practice. That leaves me feeling really positive, actually, and really optimistic for our sector. That was wonderful. And I can see why you put us together, because I think a lot of what they're trying to do, we're trying to do at Lullaby Lane. Lullaby Lane Nurseries is what we call an attachment-led nursery, and I hope today in this short presentation to give you a feel and an understanding of what attachment-led would look like. And I decided to call this presentation Building a Community of Emotional Safety. And I'll take you through some of our key messages for today. Number one, we talk about a lot. You start with why, being emotionally connected to the job that you do. Why do you do it? Secondly, you start with the adults that are present in the life of children and young people. Thirdly, key message, children do not learn if they do not feel emotionally safe, and we've just heard that from our colleagues at Glenburn. And four, at Lullaby Lane, we're part of a wider attachment community. So this here, this has fundamentally changed. The work of Simon Sinek has fundamentally changed the way in which I lead our organisations. Simon Sinek talks about, most people can tell you what they do. Some people can tell you how they do it, what's their unique selling point, but very few people can tell you why they do what they do. And it's not to make money. So we are a private and commercial business, that is true. But that is a result of what we do. That is not what's going to get me out of my bed every morning. That is not what's going to bring our team to give their whole self to our children every single day. So we need to give them something that they are emotionally connected to and attached to. And that's the same with the families that join us. So I go back and I start here. And this is an image of my mother and my daughter and my nephew. And the reason I put up that image is because that is my why. My mum and my daughter, and I do have a son, but my mum and my daughter have taught me what it means to love. And my mother taught me about the love of children and how to value children, and that children's voices were important, and that children deserve to be heard, and there was no such thing as a bad child. She taught me that years ago. My daughter was my firstborn child, and she taught me about vulnerability, what it means to be so in love with someone that you're so scared if anything happens to them. They become your world, and lots of you will know what that feels like. And for me, when we started Lullaby Lane, that is exactly what we wanted to offer our families and our children. We wanted to offer our children a place that they came to every day and they could feel loved, that they could feel secure. Our children do not know that they go to nursery. Their bodies and their brains don't understand that. They don't know that people get paid to look after them. They think they're coming to family. And my daughter was very, very ill as a child, and she spent the first 2.5 years of her life in and out of hospital. And I will never forget what was said to me when she was in a high dependency unit, and I had to leave her for the very first time. And what I said to the nurse, if she wakes up during the night, could you please kiss her and could you hug her? Because that's what I do. And she said to me, I will treat her like she's my own child. And I took all of that learning from my mum, my learning experience as a mother, that vulnerability of having to leave my child, and we took that into Lullaby Lane. And I recognised then that that is what we instinctively wanted to offer our children and our parents who were leaving their most precious being with us. Some of our children are coming to nursery at 6 months old. They're babies, they're tiny babies, and their mums and dads and families are walking away with fears and anxieties and sometimes guilts. So how do we help them? How do we help them to understand? How do we help them to feel safe and emotionally regulated? So we talked about offering love. So that is our why. And we've created that in our own golden circle to give people who want to join Lullaby Lane community, families, staff, an understanding of who we are and why we do what we do. So we exist to offer loving relationships and secure environments to unlock the unlimited potential of all of our children and our colleagues. And I'll come on to that. That's a really important part to talk about the role of our colleagues and why we want them to develop their infinite potential. We talk all the time in Lullaby Lane about you start with the adults that are present in the life of the children. And we fundamentally changed our practice when we met this lady. This, as some of you will know, is Dr. Suzanne Zeedyk, who is a developmental psychologist. And Suzanne came to Lullaby Lane for the first time in January 2014. And I just realised when I put this presentation together that I have been misquoting that for years now. I said it was 2015. So we have now been working with Suzanne for 8.5 years. And Suzanne came to our nursery, as you can see, in January 2014, when there was only about a handful of us in the nursery. And Suzanne started to talk about attachment theory, and I knew nothing about it. I didn't open up Lullaby Lane knowing about attachment. I learned about it. I knew about love. I knew about how to care for children. I knew what I felt about children, but I didn't know the science. And that's perfectly okay to say that. What I've learned is that once you know it, you cannot unknow it. And that is why we practice. That is why we have the policies that we do, because it becomes a choice once you know it. It becomes a moral responsibility. And what Suzanne helped me to do was to take what was instinctive and put the science behind that, the science of connection, of early brain development, and actually understand that this was all something that was biological. This wasn't just something that was sweet. This wasn't just something that was loving. This was something that was biological. We can shape our children's biology by the relationships that we have with them at those most formative years. And we've continued that partnership with Suzanne as the years have went on. So the point about 3 years ago, I said to Suzanne, we need to continue to build the knowledge of our team and the confidence. What could we come up with that really helps them to really understand what they're doing? Because if they have the knowledge, they will feel confident in their practice. They will feel able to stand up in moments where people might disagree with them. They will feel confident that when somebody comes in through an inspection process and questions about attainment or literacy and numeracy, they will be able to articulate why we have the practice that we have, why we are putting the emotional well-being of our children before any attainment. You cannot attain if you do not feel emotionally safe. And we need and it can't just come from me. We need everybody that works at Lullaby Lane to understand that. So what we created was a programme called Daring Ventures. And Daring Ventures comes from the Bowlby quote of life is best organised as a series of daring ventures from a secure base. And we decided we were going to do a year-long programme, and we were going to take different topics and different concepts of attachment theory, and we were going to train our team, we were going to do theoretical knowledge, and then we were going to try and apply that into practice and then articulate that to our wider attachment community. And you can see there, we've done rupture repair cycle, we've done attachment styles, which is always fascinating when you find out your own. Emotional regulation, naming our emotional states, and circle of security. That is only 6 of them. We have then went on, and we are now in our 3rd year of that programme. And I feel that that is something that is a really important investment of our time and our money to bring Suzanne in to work with all of our team. It's not about me or Donna or Rachel, who are our managers, going and getting training and trying to cascade that back. It is really hearing it firsthand and experiencing that. So we've co-designed that programme together, and all of our team at Lullaby Lane go through that Daring Ventures programme. And this slide here just gives you an example of the type of thing that we're talking about. You know, that's synapses in the brain. And a lot of people who come into early years, and it is primarily women, a lot of women who come into early years, young women, have been told somewhere in education they weren't smart enough. They weren't clever enough. They didn't get the grades that they should have got, so they should go and work with children. And that gives you an idea of how much we value children in our society. And some of them come into our place of work not knowing their own value, not knowing their own worth. And what I'm trying to help them to understand is this is complex brain science that you're learning about. And by learning about that, it really enriches your experience with the children. And I think it's really important when we talk about professionalising our sector, that it's not about professionalism, i.e. how we articulate things on paper and evidence gathering. It is about understanding what is happening in those moments that we are engaging with our children and the relationships we have with them. And this image here was another Daring Venture session that we had only a week past on Saturday, when the sun was actually still shining in September, which was beautiful. And we had our session out in the garden. And as you can see, we're sitting there in our own circle of security. And what was really fascinating about this session, we were covering the window of tolerance, which is a concept by Dan Siegel. And within that, we were really talking about all different parts of the brain, the thalamus, we were talking about the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex. We started to talk about the dorsal vagal nerve. This is complex brain science that we're talking about, and we're giving this to our team, and we're giving this to them continually so that they can understand the role that they have in our children's life and how that will shape their biology for years to come. Where I get nervous, anxious as a 44-year-old woman now was all developed in my brain before I was the age of 3. That absolutely fascinates me. That is how important our teams are. That is how important our early years sector is. Out with parents. Early years practitioners are the most important people in our country. And again, when we talk about, you start with the adults that are present in the life of children and young people, our Daring Venture sessions haven't just been about learning about children. They're actually just learning about human development, and we all happen to be those. We're just the bigger version of them. So what has happened for a lot of our team, including myself, is we've started to make sense of who we are. We've started to make sense of our early life experiences, our early adversities, our early relationships. What are our own attachment styles? Where do we get scared? Where do we get dysregulated? If we are dysregulated, we are not in the right space to welcome our children into our environment. So we have employed a health and wellbeing coordinator, and you can see an image of Aisling sitting here doing a one-on-one mindfulness session out in one of our gardens at Westerton with one of our practitioners, taking her through body-based techniques. How does she relax her core body? How does she become regulated? How does she feel and understand where in her body she has that anxiety? And we talk a lot about the importance of transitions for our team as well. So that's a morning huddle that you can see there on the right-hand side. And that is our team in a huddle in the morning where they come together, they get tea, we provide them with breakfast, and they're doing their mindfulness. They have to be emotionally regulated and ready to greet the children when they come through the door, but they also have lives. They also have family. They also have stresses. So if we're not concentrating on their well-being, then we cannot provide the nurture and the safety and the emotional security that we want for our children. And then our next key message is that children do not learn if they do not feel emotionally safe. That's true. You've heard that from Glenburn already. And I love this quote from Gordon Neufeld, that you cannot teach the mind until you have the heart and you connect before you direct. That is so true. And we have to understand that we are the answer to our children's attachment needs. So what does attachment-led practice look like? Here's some of the things that we do. We attach and connect with our parents very early. As you all know, lots of parents put their name down for nurseries very early on now, even during pregnancy. What we know is, because the science tells us that our children's brains are developing before they're even born, we want to get this information out to parents as early as we possibly can. Every parent that starts with us is part of their connection bag. We put a copy of Suzanne's Saber-Tooth Tigers and Teddy Bears book in there, so they can start to understand what attachment is like, and they can start to think about that for their children. We have unlimited getting to know you sessions. Some people will call that settling in. We call that getting to know you. It's relationship building. That is completely child-led. I just listened to a colleague last week telling me 13 weeks it has taken us for a child to feel emotionally secure in our setting. We do not charge the parents for that. So attachment-led practice costs money. It costs investment. but it's morally the right thing to do, and that's why we choose to do it. So it's completely child-led, it's taken at the child's pace, and also similar to Glenburn, we do home visits. We had stopped doing that during COVID, but we went back to doing that. And that is an extremely helpful way for us to meet children when they are in their secure environment, getting to know them, breaking down those barriers and getting to know the adult that's in their life as well. The relationships with our parents and our families is absolutely key to helping our children to feel safe with us. We give all our families connection bags. We help them to think about body-based techniques. We do that with our families, with our children, and with our team. And I am conscious of my time, so I'm going to keep moving on quite quickly here. We actively talk about the importance of physical touch. We talk about that it is absolutely, it's not that it's okay to hold children, to touch children, to kiss children. It is absolutely needed for them to build security and strong stress response systems within their body. It is absolutely crucial for them to feel safe, to flood their body with good hormones like oxytocin. And it is absolutely crucial for them to build trust and to be able to find trust and build trust in relationships, not just now, but in years to come. And we talk a lot about laughter. There's a lot of stress in this world just now. There's a lot of fear about still post-pandemic, how people feel, cost of living crisis that's coming up. One of the things that will help that is if people can find ways to laugh and to have fun and to enjoy what they're doing. We do serious work, but we don't have to take ourselves so serious. It is not all about evidence gathering and paperwork and legislation. It is about taking this back to understanding human connection. It's about having fun and laughter. And sometimes at Lullaby Lane, we won't have all the evidence. And we won't have all the evidence because we're too busy doing it. We're too busy in the moment with the children, and to stop that, to go and record that, we ruin all of that moment and all of that rich learning experience that our children can have. One of the tools we use is Kit Bag. Kit Bag was brought to us by International Futures Fund. We learned about it through Children First, Mary Glasgow and her team. And Kit Bag is a fantastic tool for helping children to be able to name what they're feeling, name those big emotions, name it to tame it. A lot of adults cannot tell you how they're feeling. They cannot name the emotion that they have. And we are working with children who are 3, 4 years of age, as you can see in those images there, who are able to express, I'm nervous, I'm sad, I want some space just now, I'm missing mummy. That is so important that we give children language and that we validate those feelings. And in that image, what you can see is a child, they're passing on what is a colour card to identify the colour of how you're feeling that day. And they've got a little talking stick there, which is all about respect. And they pass that round the circle and they express how they're feeling and they listen to how other people are feeling. That's building empathy, it's building compassion. And our team also do that. So you can see our team in one of those images there in the morning having their own kit bag session. And I'll tell you, I went into a financial meeting last week with our senior leadership team and we started with a kit bag session. And we're talking about emotions and feelings with financial directors in our organisation. But again, that's understanding that we all have the same needs. We all have the same human needs. We're creating environments of emotional safety. That's our new garden that we've created at Mulgai Nursery. And in that, we created our own circle of security. That circle of security that you can go and take that daring venture. You can go and explore if you know you've got an emotionally safe base to come back to. So we're trying to symbolise that through all of our environments. We're trying to symbolise our attachment ethos through our environments. That beautiful circle that you can see there was created by the residents of Glencoe Prison. And there's something really important about that there's people in prison who, many of them through absolutely no fault of their own, with lots of adversity and trauma in their own childhood, have created an environment, helped to create an environment for our children to explore and enjoy. And there's something really profound about that. And what I do know about attachment-led practice, I do know about understanding this science, is that means that we make decisions based on the knowledge that we have. So one of those things that we did do, and it's a small example, during COVID, we made the clear decision that we were going to allow our parents to come into the playrooms, and our parents did do that. We put in place all of our health and safety regulations to try and mitigate that. What we knew is that if we excluded parents from the children's environments, we were in real danger of causing our children emotional dysregulation, that over that extended period of time, our children would have really struggled to recover from COVID. And I think we're seeing a lot of that just now in society, where children have been struggling to recover from the impact of the pandemic. And as adults, we go, okay, it's finished, it's over, let's move on. Children don't have the ability to think like that. They don't have, they are not responsible for what happens in their lives. We knew that this was important to continue to prioritise the emotional well-being of our children, and that it sometimes even meant over the physical well-being of our children. We had to make that decision. And very, very quickly,
thank you, Pauline.
I'll be
I'm
1
so
minute, Shannon. I
sorry,
see
so
you.
sorry.
I've got you in the corner of my eye. I'm trying to stay emotionally regulated. I see you. This is just a Dare and Venture session that we offered to our families, and we offered a Dare and Ventures workshop series during the pandemic. We thought that was really important, one, to connect our parents back together. And again, we want to keep offering this science and this knowledge to our families. This is a copy of Suzanne's book, which we have gifted to one of our local primary schools that you can see there at Mulgai. That went into the bags of all the children who left our nursery in the summer there, to again ensure that there's continuity of care and love for our children. And I want to finish by just sharing this very quick email with you, because when people talk to me about outcomes, this is the kind of email that you receive on a Monday night when you go, okay, this is why we're doing what we're doing. Dear Pauline and Donna, I just want to email to express my thanks to all the staff at Lullaby Lane during our child's settling period. She certainly has not been easy, but all of the staff have gone above and beyond to help her. Amy has been amazing as our key worker and even came to our house for a visit on our day off. The house visits have helped so much, and it's fantastic that you offer this for families. When I mention it to others, they're so impressed. Today, Rebecca did a brilliant day and was so happy when I collected her. She had slept in one of the girls' arms for an hour because she wouldn't go into the cot. I honestly cannot express how this makes me feel starting back to my work on Monday. I'm so happy and reassured that she is getting the best care and love. I was sent photos and updates throughout the settlings, which was lovely, as I hated leaving her and was often in tears, but always comforted by staff outside. We have been a challenging pair, but everyone has helped us through this settling in every possible way, and I honestly cannot thank you enough. Lots of love. That, for me, is the most important feedback that we can get. That is an example of why attachment-led practice is the only way in which we can practice from here on in. Thank you very much for listening and connecting today.
Pauline, thank you so much for that, and to colleagues from Glenburn as well. I honestly, we planned this session. We knew it was a good thing to bring both of your settings together, but I've just been blown away by your presentations, and from the comments all the way through the session this morning, we can see how much colleagues across Scotland have appreciated your input. So can I just thank you on behalf of us all very, very much. And for making just such a wonderful start to our Scottish Learning Festival from an ELC perspective. Thank you so much, everybody.